All right, guys. Your 10 minutes is not quite 10 minutes, but we're not exactly working hard. Guys, can we wake up, please? People always wake up with this frown. They always like they're super angry when they sleep. Amber, good morning. What would you like for breakfast? Pancakes? Okay, are you ready? Right, watch the video, try to understand, try to pay attention. Here we go.
Every year, millions of people around the country spill into streets, dressed as fairies, goblins, characters from their favorite movie franchise, and everything in between, partying and making mischief. But outside of a good time, how many know why they do it? Today, Halloween is a billion-dollar industry. But exactly how did it get there? While today Halloween is synonymous with commercialism, it wasn't always that way. The word Halloween comes from the words hallow, meaning holy person, and een, deriving as a contraction of Eve. And All Hallows Eve finds its origins all the way back in the time of the ancient Celtic pagans with the holiday of Samhain, a 3-day fire festival that essentially celebrated death and rebirth. The Celts, who lived in what is now Ireland, Scotland, the UK, and parts of Northern Europe, based their calendar on the wheel of a year, essentially divided into two halves, the light and the dark. When one gave way to the other, this transition was marked by a fire festival. The word Samhain translates into modern Irish to summer's end. Samhain celebrated the dead, and particularly the celebratory feast paid homage to loved ones who had passed away recently, essentially as an invitation for their spirits to rejoin the living. Many of Samhain's original rituals have been lost, but what we do know of their holiday traditions from Celtic folklore and ancient Roman historians is that they were intended to connect them to spirits, including costumes, most likely animal or furs to help them hide from the unfriendly ones, feasting, and making lanterns from hollowed out gourds, seemingly the birth of the modern pumpkin jack-o'-lantern. Sacrifices, generally of crops or animals, were made during this time as an offering to the spirits. It was popular for tricks or pranks to be played by humans and blamed on mischievous spirits. As a result of the Roman invasion, with most of the Celtic land being conquered by Rome in 43 CE, the spread of Christianity and Catholicism would force pagan Celtic traditions to evolve or be completely repressed. In part, many Celtic traditions and popular pagan practices were reframed to fit within a Christian narrative, as a way of converting people with greater comfort and ease. Samhain would evolve into All Saints' Day, which is also referred to as All Hallows' Day, and was intended to be a day to celebrate the Christian saints and martyrs. Essentially, instead of honoring pagan gods and mischievous spirits, they now celebrated Christian figures. While the sacrifices were replaced by food offerings to the poor, the tricks and pranks continued, but instead they were now attributed to the spirits of the saints. Halloween evolved as a more secular version of All Hallows Eve, and eventually it would become more popular and common practice than All Saints' Day. While Halloween has its origins in the British Isles, there's a great disparity in its popularity in former British colonies. The Puritans who came to colonize America were Protestant and did not celebrate holidays of the Catholic Church, as they were believed to lead to idolatry. In the early days of the American colonies, celebrations of Halloween were mostly forbidden as they were deemed too pagan or too Catholic by the Protestant colonizers, though elements of it began to incorporate into secular harvest-related events in the 1800s. The mid-19th century saw a large influx of immigrants entering the country, especially Irish immigrants who were greatly impacted by the potato famine. With these people came Halloween customs, out of which one of America's favorite holidays was formed. In keeping with the mischief, children would dress in costumes and be given money or fruit for artistic offerings like poetry, songs, or even jokes, instead of prayers. By the late 19th century, children were playing seemingly innocuous pranks on their small local communities. Adults would soon find incentive to dissuade children from playing pranks. Enter trick-or-treating. The 20th century would finally see the commercialization of Halloween. By the 1920s and 30s, Halloween merchandise evolved to pre-made costumes for both children and adults. After World War II in the 1950s, the economic boom had candy manufacturers getting on the Halloween bandwagon. Movies and TV are also largely responsible for the proliferation of Halloween as a mass-market holiday. Cinemas in the 50s offered scary movie festivals, and in the 60s the new television industry began running Halloween specials during Halloween season. By 2015, the National Retail Federation predicted spending on Halloween could reach $6.9 billion. Whether you believe that we've lost the meaning or not, Halloween has since evolved far beyond the days of pagan fire festivals. For more than a month out of the year, costume stores show up out of nowhere. Candy corn and Halloween-themed candies dominate whole aisles of grocery stores, and spooky shows and movies build out entire TV station schedules. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to dress up as a gruesome goblin or a sexy cat, or ignore the holiday altogether, Halloween has stood the test of time and proven itself as a holiday that's here to stay.
All right. Okay, there we go. So, I mean, that was not easy, right? The language was difficult, but hopefully you understand something, okay? So, what does the word Halloween mean? Anybody? Wow. That's depressing. Right. Hallow means holy, right? Or a holy person. You could say hallowed. I mean, it's still, in English we still use this word, hallowed. It means holy or blessed, something like that. And een means evening, right? So it means holy evening. That's where the word comes from. So which country does Halloween come from? So actually kind of different countries, but the same culture. So it was Ireland and the UK, particularly Scotland. So Scotland and Ireland. What does the word Samhain mean? So Halloween used to be called Samhain in our language. And what does it mean? Did anybody get that? Were you watching this? It seems like no one watched it. Nobody? It means summer's end, right? The end of summer, the beginning So remember, we have in our old calendar, our calendar was like a wheel. Half the wheel was light and half the wheel was dark, right? And we had seasons and celebrations for each one. And the wheel would turn. And when the dark bit got to the top, that was the end of summer and the beginning of winter, right? So Samhain was the festival that started the winter time, right? So what did we used to do? What did the ancient, not even ancient, we still do this, but what did the people used to do? What rituals? Some of them we still do today. Trick or treat, yeah, so playing jokes or pranks on people. So we would say that the spirits did the thing. It wasn't me, it was, it was the spirits. So it's trick or treat, that's one. What else did they do? What do you wear when you go trick or treating? What do you dress in? A tie? Spider-Man, maybe you. Right? But we wear costumes, right? So actually, in our culture, we believed that that time of the year, that there was another world, the world of the gods and the spirits and the fairies, right? And we had like a wall that would separate our world and their world. And that wall would become very thin. And it would be most thin on this night. So this night, the spirits could come over into our world. Right? That was the idea. And so, to hide ourselves, we would dress like the spirits. Right? So sometimes we would use like an animal head or something like that. Right? But now it became like monsters, like vampires and wolves. But before it was like the spirits, the old spirits, to hide ourselves. So we had playing jokes, wearing costumes. What did we used to make? Fire. It was a fire festival, so we would have a large fire. And in some places, in Ireland and Scotland, we still have fires today. But in America, they don't. Anything else? Well, we would give a sacrifice. What's a sacrifice? Here's a nice word for you. Sacrifice is usually when you kill something for the gods, right? So for example, but you have to kill. So like you guys in Taiwan, you have like money, right? And you burn the money for your Zushen, your ancestors. That's like a sacrifice, right? But usually for us, a sacrifice means you have to kill something, usually an animal, right? So we would usually kill an animal or burn food for the gods, right? So these are some, and also make lanterns. You know the nanhua, the pumpkin? Yeah? We would make like the face with the, yeah? So, Samhain, the church, the Christian church, changed our holiday Samhain to All Saints' Day. A saint is a sheng ren, sheng. Like, how do you say the Bible? Sheng Jing? Yeah? Is it sheng? Sheng. Yeah? So sheng ren, yeah, like a holy, that's a saint, S-A-I-N-T, saint. Okay? So it was called All Saints' Day. So actually, many of our... Is anybody Christian here? No one? No Christians? Usually there's one or two. 没有基督教天主教的吗？没有。Okay. Well, anyway, so the church has changed many of our festivals. For example, 基督教, Jesus, right? Where is he from? You don't know? You guys are terrible. He's the most famous man in the world. Where's Jesus from? Is he from the UK? No. Is he from America? Loma? He's not from Rome. You guys. What's wrong with you? Well, he's from like Israel, Palestine, that area, right? Bethlehem, Jerusalem, Israel. Right. What kind of land is Israel? Do they have jungle? Is it cold in Israel? Am I talking to myself? I think I am. Right. Let me show you a picture of Israel. Let's say countryside, because otherwise you gotta. Not Sheila. Sheila is Israel. Yeah, Sheila is Greek. Guys, you need to open a book. Really, this is terrible. Right. Israel. Actually, that looks quite nice. But a lot of Israel is like this. Right? It's like almost like a desert. Right? Not a lot of trees. It's very, very dry. Right? Yeah? So, what is Christmas? It's the birthday of Jesus, right? Okay, what if I told you Jesus was born in the summer? This is true. You can Google it. And you will, because you're Taiwanese. And when I say Google, you all Google. And who's this? Is that Jesus? So when we celebrate Jesus' birthday, who's this guy? Why do we talk about Santa on Jesus' birthday? Also, where does Santa live? Where does Santa live? Where's he from? Ireland? No! He's from Beijing, the North Pole. My point is this. Christmas is not about Jesus. Christmas is an old winter festival from the northern Europe, traditional, before Christianity. But when we became Christian, we changed, the church changed the holidays, right? So that we would not celebrate old religions, but we would celebrate the Christian religion, right? So Santa and snow and presents and the tree, this is before Christianity, but it still exists today, right? And Halloween is like this. Many of our festivals have lots of things that are before Christianity, even if it's a Christian holiday. Where's my... here we are. Okay, so now in America you had 天主教 and 基督教, right? Protestant and Catholics. The 天主教 are Catholic and the 基督教 are Protestant. And they don't like each other, right? Who's the 天主教? Who's the most important person? Apart from God and Jesus. Who's the most important on earth? In the Catholic Church. Do you know? You don't know? Man. Maybe you've heard of this person. Right? Do you know the Pope? Yeah, okay. So the Catholic Church follow the Pope, and Protestants do not. Right? It's like a newer church, but they have a different idea. And they don't like each other. And there's had lots of fights in places like Ireland. Big fights. Right? In America, everybody was Protestant. Okay? And they thought that Halloween was a holiday from Ireland. And Irish people are Catholic. So they didn't like it. So they banned it. They said, we don't want your Catholic holidays. Right? It was too Catholic or too pagan. But there were many immigrants who came to America and Halloween became popular again. Which immigrants? What? You can read the question. I don't have to say it again. It's there. Which group of immigrants came to America and made Halloween popular again? Who do you think? Faye, where does Halloween come from? Ireland. Which immigrants came to America and celebrated Halloween? Which Emin group came to America and celebrated Halloween? Was it the Chinese? I'll try again. Faye, where does Halloween come from? Ireland. Which group of people came to America and celebrated Halloween? The Irish. Oh, wow. Congratulations. What a surprise answer. Right. What made Halloween popular in the 1950s and 60s? Now, this took so long. Talking to you, we have an expression in English. I'll write it down for you. It's nice. Like trying to get blood from a stone. What do you think that means? Stone is 石头, right? Like trying to get blood from a stone. What do you think that means? What? It means no matter how hard you try, you will never succeed. I'll give you an example. Trying to get Taiwanese students to open their mouths is like trying to get blood from a stone. Right? 3 years I have lived in Taiwan, teaching here. I have been talking to myself for 3 years. I'm very bored of myself. It's very bored. I know everything about me now. I've been talking to myself for so long. Never spoken to a Taiwanese person though. Right. TV and films. Right? When it's Halloween time, you have a lot of scary movies. Right? And so this made Halloween more popular in the 50s and 60s. Why are you taking a photo? That's not on your exam. You can take a picture if you want. Are you going to watch the video again? Probably not. So that won't help you. Right. We got like 20 minutes to do. Let's have a look. Oh, by the way, yes, your group presentations. Can I throw some chalk? Oh no, she's awake, right? Okay. Right. You have a group presentation. Okay? You're going to do a 报告 as a group. Right? You're going to research and describe a famous festival or celebration from another country. Another country! Oh my God, I have to learn something new. Yeah. And I think I will make it cannot be from China. It cannot be from Japan. It cannot be from Korea. It has to be from somewhere else. South America, Africa, Europe, somewhere different. India, just not here. How many people in a group? How many people are in this class? 36. I will say 4 to 5 maybe? 4 or 5 people a group? That gives us around 8 or 9. I will think about it, but maybe, maybe not. You've got 5 weeks, right? That's a long time. Your exam is week 9. Week 8, we do revision. Week 7. Week 7. All right? You have to make a PPT, PowerPoint. With what? Right, you really have to try to speak English in English class, guys. All right? I know you don't want to, but I don't care what you want. Right? You have to talk about, or you have to include, what does the festival celebrate? So what is the point of the festival? By the way, you cannot do things like Christmas. All right? It's got to be very 很特别, a special. You have to tell me your ideas, and I will say yes or no. Right? When and why did it begin? What kinds of things do people do during the festival? Is there any special food? Do people wear special costumes? Is music important? What kind of music is there? All right? So anything you want to include. I want pictures. I want maybe a video, short. The talk should be 5 to 8 minutes long. 5 to 8 minutes long. Of course, speak English. What do you... Right, guy, do you not understand this is an English class? Do you think you're going to come up here and speak Japanese? Yes. You write the presentation in English. You say the presentation in English. Because I want to see how good your English is. And I want you to write it. I don't want you to copy and paste from the internet. All right? I will put this on Google Classroom for you with all of the rules. All right? All right. Now, I don't know if we have time to do this, actually. Yeah, we do. Do you want to do some grammar? Do we have time? Maybe we don't have time. Yes, question. I like the only time you put your hand up or talk to me is when you want to go to the toilet. That's the only time. Yes, you may go to the bathroom. You have my blessing. I think the only person who talks is Lucas. I think you're the only person who talks to me. Thanks, Lucas. That's not about toilets. Right. Wait, where's the... No, I'll tell you what. Let's not do that. Let's do this. Because it's shorter. And then next week we'll do some grammar. Right, we have this thing, World Party. This is on page 72 of your book. Okay? This is about some celebrations around the world. I would like you to read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 short paragraphs and then answer these questions. Okay? Questions 3 and 4. And then next week we'll do some grammar. All right? I'll give you 10 minutes to read, and then we'll go through the answers. There'll be some words you don't know. That's okay. Use a dictionary. All right, guys, I'll play the audio so you can hear it read out. Okay?
Track 47, Unit 6B, Reading Passage.
World Party. People in different countries celebrate Mardi Gras with live music, costumes, fireworks, parades, and lots of good food. The most famous celebrations are in New Orleans, Venice, Rio de Janeiro, and Port of Spain. Venice, Italy. Mardi Gras is called Carnevale in this beautiful city. The first celebrations were in the 11th century, and it is still a big celebration today. Visitors to the city can enjoy the costumes, candles, and fireworks from a gondola in Venice's canals. New Orleans, USA. Small parties for Mardi Gras began in the 18th century. By the 19th century, they were huge events with masks, costumes, and jazz bands. Visitors should also try king cake with its gold, purple, and green decorations. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The world-famous parades started in the mid-19th century, with decorated floats and thousands of people dancing the samba. People eat a famous meat and bean stew called feijoada. Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. The French arrived here in the 18th century and brought Mardi Gras with them. These days, everyone enjoys the parties and concerts with the famous steel drums playing from morning to midnight.
All right. So, let's have a look at these. There were no Mardi Gras celebrations here. By the way, do you know why all these holidays are roughly the same time? Do you know Lent? It's a time of the year where Christians do not eat something. Right? So Lent is when, you know the story, Jesus was in the chameau, the desert, for 40 days and 40 nights, right? And he did not eat anything. And so to remember that, Christians, for like 1 month, they don't eat, they give up something. So for example, if you really like chocolate, you have no chocolate for 1 month, right? Or maybe no meat or something, right? You have to give something up. So before that time, before you give up this thing that you like, you go a little crazy, right? So this is what this party is for. It's just before the Lent starts. So there were no Mardi Gras celebrations here before the mid-19th century. Which country is that about? Brazil? Basi, right? So the world-famous parades started in the mid-19th century. A parade is when lots of people walk down a street, right? In a celebration, like all of this, all these people here, if they walk together, this is a parade for a celebration. And by the way, this one, it says with decorated floats. This is a float, okay? A float is a big thing that you carry because float is piaolio, right? So this thing, it floats down the road, okay? Because they usually say they carry it, or sometimes it's on wheels. Good, so the first one is Brazil, C. Number 2, which one has the oldest celebration? Yeah, it's Venice, Italy, right? The first celebrations were in the 11th century, so 1,000 years ago. They've already been celebrating this, what they call Carnevale in Italian, right? So that's A. One type of food is decorated with different colors. The USA, New Orleans. What's the name of the food? King cake. Shall we have a look at king cake? Bye, Santa. Looks nice. No? Yeah, there's a lot of sugar. That's okay. Americans, they're fat. They like sugar. Sugar on everything. It's quite a pretty cake, though. I don't know. It's quite nice. Oops. So that was B, New Orleans. One type of musical instrument is especially important? Is it? The USA? It says jazz bands. Doesn't tell you an instrument. It's actually D. It says here, everyone enjoys the parties and concerts with the famous steel drums playing from morning to midnight. This is a steel drum. It's used in the Caribbean. Okay? It's like a, yeah. Have you ever heard a steel drum? It's nice.
I dreamt it. I visualized.
These adverts kill me. That's a steel drum. It's nice, no? I think it's quite cool. And I love that song, by the way. People can travel to the party on a type of boat. No, you're right, it's Italy. What's the boat called? It's called a gondola. Now, Venice is an island, and there are no roads in Venice. No cars, no bicycles, only walking and boats, right? And a gondola is a very thin boat which they use in the canals.
Venice's sleek and graceful gondolas are a symbol of the city. From the start, boats were the way to get around among the island communities of the lagoon. To navigate over shifting sandbars, the boats were flat-bottomed and the captains stood up to sea. Today's boats still come with gondoliers standing up and no rudder or keel.
My wife is from Venice, so I've been there a few times, but never been on a gondola. They have like big boat taxis that can take you around as well. It's like a bus, but it's a boat. But the gondolas are very traditional, and they're quite expensive, so we never go on those. Most of the time we just walk. All right, guys, don't worry about that. Next week we're going to start, we're going to do some more grammar, but today we'll stop here. All right, I'll put your, do you want more homework? Yeah, but you don't need to do the report next week. Okay, you can start. I'll put the information for your report, your presentation. I want you to send me your groups, right? So who is in your group, name and student number, and your topic, all right? What you're going to write about or talk about, all right? All right, guys, that's all for today. Thank you very much.